Hello, everyone, and welcome to UFC 238 review, I guess you can call it, since we call our preview show the preview show and call this the review show.
Review reaction. Review.
Yeah, the reaction show. Man, what a great night of events in Chicago last night. Excited to talk about it, kind of jump in. We're just started streaming live on 3 different platforms: YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So this is a little new for us. Hopefully everything works out on here. But otherwise, yeah, I'm excited. So Sean, what's your first initial overall reaction?
Card was as good as I thought it would be. It was really fun. Not loaded with a ton of finishes, but a ton of fight of the night potential candidates, especially early on.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought so too. I thought, if anything, one of the biggest takeaways from this is the bantamweight showed why you shouldn't underestimate the little guys.
Bantamweight's almost killed the flyweight, or almost got him out of here.
I just thought all 3 bantamweight battles just looked incredible yesterday.
TJ being gone, obviously the fight for the vacant title, but contenders were up for grab, and they were getting after it. There was 2 huge number 1 contender fights for 135 tonight, or I'm sorry, not tonight, but yesterday, and they both showed up.
Yeah, and going into the prelims first, let's just kind of jump there, just because I thought the prelims were great between Ricardo Lamas and Calvin Kattar.
One way to kick off ESPN.
Damn, Calvin Kattar.
They were swinging some heat.
Oh my God, they were ripping them off. Calvin ended up coming up with a huge knockout. That's got to be the biggest knockout, biggest fight of his career against a veteran of Ricardo Lamas.
Yeah, thanks to Joe Rogan during that, because right before he knocked him out, he said, "Man, his hands are so much better than Ricardo's." And then, like literally as he finished that sentence, he flatlined him.
Just looked young, just looked faster, stronger. I mean, yeah, he looks so crisp. And man, what a way to throw another contender into potential contender into the featherweight mix.
We love matchups, baby.
Yeah, I know, that's great.
Never have enough matchups.
And the great thing there is that featherweight's probably just as deep as lightweight, especially at the top. Well, at least now that it's building back up with a lot of those guys coming up there.
The thing I like about featherweight is that it's young guys coming up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All young guys.
Absolutely.
Lightweight has a lot of established contenders or guys that have been around. Featherweight's getting all new blood.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And they look great up there, and then they don't have the hold up that the lightweight divisions had for a few years. Yeah, absolutely.
They're actually a little logjam. They're getting a lot of contenders, but they're not quite there yet.
No. And the good thing is you have a champ that's not going anywhere. Holloway threw his hands into the ring. Yeah, and he threw his hands at 155. Didn't work out for him against Dustin Poirier. So you know what? He's going to stick around at 145. I think that's where he's best. And
back at the end of the year sometime.
Yeah, and we have a ton of great matchups. So that was exciting to see. Man, and then how about Alexa Grasso against Carolina?
Yeah.
Wow.
She came out headhunting.
The ladies showed up last night too. Let me tell you that. They put a foot in our mouth. I'll tell you that, after we were like, oh, I don't know if there's any exciting matchups here other than Tatiana Suarez. And then Alexa Grasso comes out of nowhere and just puts on a freaking striking clinic against Carolina nonetheless.
Yeah, she beat the shit out of her.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was another thing, just like Calvin. She looked crisper. She looked sharper. She looked more energetic. She was just in.
She was just letting it loose.
She was in and out. She threw. She has a great front hand jab. She was throwing some nice backhand or right hand crosses. She looked strong. She looked crisp, fast. Man, she looked great last night too.
Yeah, Carolina just couldn't handle the speed.
No, absolutely not. So even though that one was a decision, that one was a pleasure to watch for 3 rounds.
A lot of the fights in this card were decisions, but it were still pleasures to watch.
Yeah.
So this was the theme of the night, this fight. I think this fight actually kicked off the theme of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially going into the Sterling and Munoz fight as well.
Another one, this is what we were talking about. The 135 was going at it. They set the tone for the division early on in the night.
Yeah, because this was certain. This was the number 1 contender fight, I think. Yeah. With Sterling and Munoz going in number 3 and number 4 respectively for the 135 division.
To give you an idea of how much these guys were going at it, Aljamain Sterling landed 174 significant strikes in 3 rounds. It's the most in bantamweight history.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He set that record. Yeah, last night. That is a ton,
Yeah,
man. That is.
Pedro Munoz got his shots in too. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so that just goes to show you the volume because Sterling had his typical like unorthodox style going in that 1st round where he ducks out 1-2 combinations. And then Munoz really slowed him down, man. He just stands in the pocket, he takes blasts, and then he'll just throw those
he's a little bit old
crosses
school in the
back.
sense that you start whooping his ass, he's gonna get mad.
Dude, he's
some
just,
guys go, they fade. Some
Yeah.
other guys, they just like, all right, fuck you.
you can't like he's a guy. He's a spectator's fighter. Like he'll just bite down on his mouthpiece and he's ready to just start wailing at you. His only problem in that fight was that
He just wasn't long enough.
no, Sterling's just so long for the division. His reach, he just was able to stay in and out, but he's significantly slowed down, which is going to be a problem if he's going to fight Cejudo, which we'll get to later. But
Yeah.
that's going to be a problem because he looks great. He looked great in the 1st round, and obviously he looked great in round 2 and 3. But he went out of his game plan just because he couldn't move the same way that he did in the 1st round. So he ended up getting content with staying in front of Munoz. But I mean, hell, man, that was a great 3-round battle too.
Yeah, that pretty much brought us right to the main feeling of the night. Tatiana Suarez beats Nina Ansaroff pretty convincingly.
Yeah. If anything, it was a little eye-opening there. Nina really had a great round 3. Obviously, Tatiana Suarez, round 1 and 2, she did exactly what we all expected her. Took Nina to the mat.
They call her female Khabib for a reason.
Yeah,
she is exactly like Khabib. Her wrestling is off the charts, but if you can keep her standing, you can hit her.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And she looked great rounds 1 and 2. Was able to get instill her game plan. She was able to take Nina down to the ground, just hold her there for a while. But the only problem was in round 3, we saw Nina really open it up, and Tatiana tired.
She reminded you of Khabib and Iaquinta.
Yes, she couldn't get her down, and we saw that there's clearly a gap in her striking that needs to be answered.
Because even though she got beat up a little bit, she was never in danger, so it's kind of an eye-opening thing for her. She gets to realize this is what she needs to work on before she gets to the elite. While she's at the elite level.
Oh yeah.
Before she gets the title fight, she can realize like, hey, you need to work on these hands a little bit just in case. Don't have to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing, man. She's ranked number 2 right now. So and that was going into the win. She was ranked number 2. So or going into the fight rather, and then she wins. So you would almost think that she is lined up to fight Andrade next. But I kind of hope that she gets another. I don't want to say tune-up fight, but that's pretty much what it is. I'm hoping she gets at least one more. I think she needs like an extra training camp to get her hands ready before she goes in and fights Andrade.
Well, I don't know if she's gonna have any time in the world to prepare for those hands of Andrade, but maybe she just buckles down extra on her wrestling.
Yeah. Well, the one good thing though is we did see from Andrade she slowed down significantly against Rose. Yeah. But then again, Rose also did pepper her for quite a while, or that first round and a half,
and not get hit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true
and
too.
Not get suplexed.
That will be the interesting thing is seeing how her strength transfers over into that fight with because Andrade is just stupid strong for that division. She's a tank. Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be interesting. And see if Tatiana can take that off the chin, like one of those right hands coming off the chin. So.
Yeah. Then we move kicking off the pay-per-view, man. The only heavyweights on the card, man, they showed up. You want to talk about showing up? These guys are classic heavyweight slobber knockers.
Yeah, this is exactly what you expected from heavyweights, man. Is they disregard for your face, like Mama don't care no more. She knows what you look like because these guys were going at it, just blasting the crap out of him. Ty is obviously a tough dude. He's got that Samoan blood apparently, and he showed that last night. But
Islander says. Israel Adesanya likes to call him.
Yeah, right. I know they're just known for being tough fighters, But Blagoy came through last night. You can kind of tell he certainly won. I think pretty much every round.
He seemed like he was edging him out.
Yeah, and again, man, like the thing that's confusing to me is again, this guy is supposed to be high level sambo and black belt in judo, but I mean, Ty was just tossing him around easily. Like the thing that I'm confused about is like you don't see any fighting for the underhooks from him. He's not like moving Ty around or anything, and Ty pretty much just had his way, very low level, like just simple shit, get double underhooks and press him up against the cage. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
but hey,
deals with that.
he didn't need it. He just needed his hands.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is, when I was watching this fight, I was thinking, have you ever seen the Augie Man reviews?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was like, I could hear them in my head when they were hitting each other. Nah, fuck you. No, fuck you. Fuck you. That's what it kind of seemed like.
Yeah.
Their heads are snapping back and snapping the other's head.
Oh my god. I definitely thought. I mean, like Ty was tough. I thought he was going down at 2 different times. I was like, okay, this one's not going to decision. Yes, he did. He stunned him coming in. I think that's what Ty does have fast hands, but I think he still has a lot to figure out in his stand up. I mean, luckily he's a young guy. He didn't take a knockout. He took a lot of damage, but he didn't take a knockout. So he has a lot to figure out.
From 0-2 now.
Yeah, in his last 2. But the heavyweight is desperate for, or the UFC's desperate for heavyweights. So he's not going anywhere, and I think he just needs to spend some time figuring that out a little bit, get that striking defense up. But I think just to talk about the Sterling fight from earlier when we were talking about like the volume landed, even in this slobber knocker fight, man, like Blagoy landed 81 to Ty's 66, whereas we were talking about
Those
Sterling.
Were all pure power bombs.
Oh, they were. But Sterling hit, what was it, 170? Yeah, 174. I mean, holy crap. Just going back to talk about that real quick. Significant strikes was 64 to 73. So, I mean, it's just an incredible number to go back and think about the Sterling Munoz fight. That's crazy. But certainly.
A lot of those were kicks, I think, too, in the Sterling fight. He landed a lot of those, little T kicks and whatnot.
Yeah, he
was throwing kicks in that heavyweight fight.
No, that was all hands. All right, but yeah, that was a good fight. I think it's exactly what you want to see for spectators that's going in to watch heavyweight.
You pay money and you're excited to watch a card. You turn it on, you see 2 fat dudes. You know what I mean? Like, well, I hope they start swinging, and they did.
And then on the flip side of that, then we go into the Rivera and Petr Yan.
Yeah. This was a good one. This was a tenacity. Jimmy Rivera came out fire and looked like he was going to be an early night.
Yeah.
For Petr.
Yeah. This one, man, it was a great fight. It was tough. Like, it's one of those fights where you're watching and you're like, man, I'm glad I'm not a judge, because judging those first 2 rounds was tough, because Jimmy Rivera, by all accounts, I thought
he
landed
the majority of the rounds, but Petr definitely had no doubt the biggest moments closing out the rounds. At least the lasting impression on the judges.
Yeah, he dropped Jimmy Rivera twice in the last 10 seconds. Yeah, bad in the last 10 seconds of both rounds, or rounds 1 and 2. Obviously, this ultimately went to decision that Yan ended up taking, which to his credit, he looked great.
Jimmy tested a little bit. You want to see a young guy. He got punched in the mouth.
I think if anything,
kind of rise to the occasion a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that coming out of this, we have some future fight matchups that I think are going to look good as well in the bantamweight division. But yeah, Rivera looked on last night. He took certainly some heavy shots from Yan. Yan looked pretty good himself. He got tagged quite a bit, I thought, from Rivera, especially in rounds 1 and 2. He definitely picked it up in 3. He ate him. And he ultimately came through. I think the thing is his volume wasn't as high, but he certainly landed better shots, and you can almost feel the shots that he landed.
When you're really starting to pay attention to a lot of the stuff that Jimmy was throwing, it sounded like he was landing, but if you really pay attention, he was hitting off a lot of shoulders and guard. Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, to Yan, to that point, actually, I think he landed more significant strikes. Mm-hmm. So whereas Rivera certainly, I think, landed the higher volume, at least in rounds 1 and 2. I think Yan landed the more significant strikes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that jumps him up there. So, I mean, into this 135 mix, man.
This was what numbers were they coming in? I know Jan was like number 8. I think Rivera was 7 or something.
Yeah, Rivera was 7 to
And
Jan's 9.
they're on the pay per view over the number 1 contender fight between 3 and 4.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that in the preview show too. It was a weird setup. Obviously, I think it's because they're pushing Jan, as kind of like a star of that division. But I don't know. I think that Jan, I would like to see him have
Aljamain, and I think he fell off, so they're just kind of like, well,
yeah,
people know who you are, so they don't need to promote you, and you'll be on ESPN. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I think I would like to see Jan have one more like top 10 fight. Yeah, I would like to see.
He might actually, now that the division has a double champ, he's probably got to go back to the flyweight first. You're gonna have an interim fight between him and Aljamain.
I wouldn't mind seeing him fight. Oh my goodness, Marias.
Yeah, well,
that would be a great. I think that would be a great matchup for both of those guys, and that would really be able to test Peter in all of his ground game, his submission game, and his stand-up game. So we'll get into what we saw from Marias earlier or later, but I think that would be a great matchup. Just kind of test it because Sterling should get the next shot. Just from the natural order of from the natural rankings, and I think that would be a fun matchup to watch. So I want to watch Sterling get that title shot, but then I think Jan should fight Marias just for that next potential shot after that. So, any other thoughts on that before we move on? Nothing.
I thought this was a great paper, like a great main card, and even as fun as this was the least interesting fight, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's saying something because it was
our most interesting fight.
It was damn good. Yeah, the most interesting fight. Of course, you can't leave a UFC fight without a little bit of controversy. And let's go into Tony Ferguson and Donald Cowboy Cerrone, a fight you would not think that there's. Actually, you know what? I take that back. When you say it out loud,
if there's going to be a fight with controversy, like that's the one.
It has to be.
Yeah, something's going to happen.
Yeah, Mr.
It would almost be what happened, like what actually did happen, what you guess, like. It's a great fight, and then somebody has something that they have to stop the fight, like a broken hand or something, or knows like their eye swells up. Damn it, Cowboy! And you don't get a third round because you know what? This happened in October with Anthony Pettis, and we're still fucking salty about
it. No, certainly, but I mean, hey man, maybe that's just to Ferguson's credit, man. He tears people's bodies up.
I was thinking about this, and I wanted to ask you today. Do you think Tony's weaponized pace is the best weapon in the UFC compared to like Khabib's wrestling, Ngannou's power, things of that nature? Do you think his weaponized pace is the best weapon in mixed martial arts?
Absolutely, because Ngannou's seen that there's guys that you can't knock out sometimes. There's sometimes if you're world-class jiu-jitsu, there's guys that you can't take down. They won't go fucking down. And pace is literally the thing that can take you the whole way. Look at Demetrius Johnson. I mean, he's a guy that he weaponized it as well. I mean, and some arguably still think that he never even lost against Henry Cejudo the second time. Yeah. But that's a whole thing.
DJ back to take down the Cringe King, but we'll get back to that later.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question, but I think without a doubt it has to be pace.
I mean, just the way that he wears down great fighters that have been around, like Cowboy, he was wearing that. You can be upset. The third round would have been more of a formality than anything, I think, the way that the fight was trending.
Hey, a lot
of people thought the same thing.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. Donald looked great. He was landing a ton of shots, and it only takes one shot to change the course of a fight. So, and that's the problem. But we'll get into that in just a second.
I wouldn't count it up, but I'm saying the most likely thing that was going to happen was he was going to knock him out, or he's going to finish him.
Yeah. Well, here to talk to your point about pace alone, just in the first 2 rounds, this. Okay, so for a little bit of background, if you didn't see this one, Cerrone was technically finished at the end of round 2, like 0 minutes left. They went back to their corner. In between rounds, his eye was swollen shut, and then he blew his nose, which you're not supposed to do.
I didn't know that was a thing.
And then you get an air pocket into your eye. So his eye was pretty swollen as it was. And then the second you blow out of your nose, you immediately get a lot more air into your eye socket, and it blew up, and it swelled shut. And you could see it. It happened almost instantaneously. He blew, and then he immediately started freaking out. You could tell he was like touching his eye. Doctors came in, stopped it, said there's no way he can defend himself. He can't see. The fight's over. Ferguson was upset, not with Donald, but just by the circumstance. The crowd was disappointed because it was a great fight,
Well,
and
the
Donald
controversial
was.
thing is that Tony hit him after the bell had rung before they finished it.
That's right, yeah.
And a
So,
lot of people thought it was the punch that did it. Donald said no, it wasn't.
mhm,
I blew my nose. I shouldn't have done that. I should know better.
yeah,
It is what it is.
yeah. So that was unfortunate, man. It was unfortunate, kind of going into that.
As advertised.
It was,
a Roman.
yeah, it was as advertised, man. Donald looked great in round one. It was like, oh crap, he might. But then, of course, Ferguson picked it right back up in round two and was like, no, I'm good. I just needed the first round to shake off the
The
dust
thing
and
that really
cobwebs.
disappointed me is because all the talk was, well, this basically sets him up to fight Khabib if Khabib wins, which most people think he will.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's, oh, I don't know, we'll have to see what happens after that fight because there's talk of Conor getting his rematch.
I told you that
Listen,
during the
what
preview,
point-
man. I told you that.
Listen, we have a champion in this division that a lot of people don't think is the real champion. I don't think we have a clear-cut champ in this division.
For
Lightweight.
for lightweight, you don't think that?
Between Tony and Khabib, because they've both been lightweight champions. Neither one of them took the belt from the champion.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the runs that they're on. They look far better than anybody that steps in that cage with them.
Oh, I mean, these guys have been matched up. What is it, 4 or 5 times?
It's never happened.
Yeah, 4 times. That's
We're
never
ready for
happened.
It has to happen. I don't care. It has to happen.
Well, Dana is doing a crime against the fans and humanity in general if he doesn't set up Cerrone versus McGregor.
Yeah,
I think
I think you have to.
I mean, Cerrone.
Get Donald that payday and do right by the fans. Get Ferguson to beat.
Yeah, and I
You
think
need to know who the best lightweight is.
and Conor got crushed in his first fight with Khabib. He needs to have another
Yeah,
contender
I'll
fight. No, he needs to have another contender fight. It's bullshit that he gets the opportunity to jump right back in. There's no reason that Cerrone and McGregor can't headline a fight for a number one contender fight while Ferguson fights the winner of Khabib and Poirier.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, absolutely. Oh, and just to talk about Ferguson's pace, he landed 104 significant strikes in 2 rounds.
In 10 minutes, he landed 104 strikes.
He turned it up in round
That's
2.
what he does.
Yeah.
He does. He actually said it, I think, in his post fight that the first time Cowboy took him down is when it pissed him off because he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
It's like those Grand Valley roots came up, so I was thinking to myself, I got to get up and fuck this dude up.
Yeah. I know. He's so entertaining, man. He's it's certainly a little corny, but I think that's just who he is. He's genuine, though.
He was not so corny.
No, well, like the stuff he says, if anybody else said it, like you're like, that's kind of corny, but he's just like a weird dude, and the stuff he says like that, man, you're like, yeah, that's Tony Ferguson. But ultimately, I think to your point, like even if there was a round 3, it looked like Ferguson was just going to take it away because even though Cerrone landed great in the first round and had that takedown, he won the first round. Ferguson
wasn't going anywhere.
No, he did. He looked undamaged
at
the end of the second round.
Tony's best performance.
Oh,
I thought he looked way better than he did in the Pettis fight.
And against Lee,
Yeah.
I thought too. Lee, he looked sluggish, so that's why I was kind of
He had
wondering.
some long layouts, but this one not as long.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've seen videos of Eddie Bravo on Rogan's podcast saying he was coming in this ready for war, like absolute all-out war.
Yeah,
Maybe just mentally he was ready just to.
he had a lot. He has a lot of stuff going on in his personal life. That's why he didn't get the fight against Holloway earlier this year. So I think that this is good. He's able to just. I mean, I think it's good for him in his mental state just to be able to focus all back in on fighting and getting that belt. So I think it's good for him. It's healthy for him. He has something to focus on. He came in. Hopefully, he'll get the winner. By the end of the year, Tony should be fighting one more time, and it should be for the belt. Yeah, it should be for the belt.
That's New Year's main event right there.
Absolutely. We're only talking 6 months away,
Yeah.
so.
And even if we get Poirier and Ferguson, I'm down.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man.
It'd be fucking nuts.
Absolutely. I'd be so excited for that,
Whoever's
especially
gonna be fighting Tony for the title is going to be a fun fight.
especially since we've seen Poirier can go 5 hard rounds, too.
Yeah.
So,
But he just fought that type of style.
Yep.
But he's going to have to ramp it up even a little bit more.
yeah, he fought kind of like it's little Tony Ferguson and
Yeah.
Holloway.
Without the power.
Yeah, without the power. So, Great fight, man. It just sucks that it had to end on controversy like that. Nobody was happy about it. Ferguson wasn't happy with that. It ended that way, and Cerrone wasn't. So it is what it is, man. Shit happens. It's a fight game, baby. But anyways, moving on to the co-main event. Damn, Valentina.
Yeah, so this was basically Mortal Kombat. This was a flawless victory.
I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. Valentina decided that she was going to show that she has wrestling and jiu-jitsu game in round one. And then when I decided to test some of the stand-up in round two, she shut that down real quick
I don't
with...
think she was testing it. I think Valentina had just set her up for that in the
Yeah.
first round. And
She
I
did.
was like, all right, I'm done playing with you.
Yeah, she shut her down because I think going into this, everybody was okay. So head kick, knockout.
It's the nastiest head kick, nastiest knockout in women's MMA history. I think.
Well, would you say that over? I know they said that last night, and because it just happened, but Holm versus Rusi.
No, because Ronda wasn't out like that.
She went stiff leg though.
Scary,
Yeah.
like, but that was like Jessica I was out for a while.
Yeah, no, she was out for a while, but maybe
I'm not
that's
saying maybe the most impressive or like the biggest highlight reel, but she was stiff.
It was
for minutes.
Well, I was gonna say it's definitely a contender for knockout of the year so far.
Yeah,
I mean,
just purely off of that, just
damn.
the mood changed. Like as soon as she hit it, like oh shit. Even her coach, celebrated. Like holy fuck.
Yeah, I know, because you could tell eyes, legs went stiff. She went back as stiff as a board, and she was out for a while. Yeah, Valentino, you could tell because the poor thing's like going around like she's trying to celebrate, but at the same time she's like, I kind of don't want to because the girl still hasn't got up. So she was like, kind of like, yeah, but is she all right? Like, is I gonna get up?
Give a little fist on and turn away like Jesus Christ.
Oh my god, man. But yeah, that was a brutal knockout. It shows why Valentina's the champ, man.
I don't want to kick Jessica out while she's down, but you can't wear a bulletproof vest because Valentina's nickname is Bullet. You can't wear a bulletproof vest to media face-offs. I guess you should have wore a helmet.
Yeah, I should have wore that helmet. But damn, man, that was a great knockout.
As bulletproof as you thought it was. Something live.
Put you down. Damn, yeah, that was great. I think they tried trading standing up for a little bit. Valentina took her down.
She kept ripping that body kick.
She did, yeah.
Right before that, she hit her clean. You could hear her like, ugh. Mm-hmm. And then she loaded back up. Jessica, I dropped her hands thinking it was going to the body, went to the temple.
Yeah, I mean, it was just classic. That's what you train for if you're going for leg kicks or body kicks. You save that head kick for after you start getting their twitch. You start getting, so, obviously you're defending up here when the kick's coming. And then what I did is she dropped, to your point, she dropped her hands down here and she left her chin wide open, left her temple. That's where the kick came. Her shin, or Valentina's shin came right across her temple. She came down to defend the body. And that's when she came up top, clean knockout. I mean, just went on her ass. If you get the opportunity to go look that up, it's got to be on YouTube.
It's on Facebook.
It's on ESPN too, somewhere. So that's the other good thing about it being on ESPN. Disregard our frustration getting to the pay-per-view again last night before the fight started. That's such a pain. I can't even all right, you know what? I am going to go into this rant for a minute. It ticks me off. Like, ESPN is owned by Disney. Just a corporation that just bought, that has the financial backing to purchase Fox for $60-70 billion, whatever it was. And they've had Hulu, they've been like, I think majority share owners of Hulu for a while now. They have their new streaming service coming out. It's like, why can you not do the simplest thing, like save someone's card info on the ESPN app, or the fact that it's not all interconnected? Like when you still go, so like when you go on your Xbox, for instance, you still have to activate it online somewhere else. You have to activate it in two different places, and then it doesn't even save your info. So then you're scrambling to get that together. It's a freaking mess, and the UFC and ESPN has to figure this out before the end of the year, because that's ridiculous. How many pay-per-views do you think they're losing out on right now? You know what? I'm going to make a note of that. Like before we go into the next preview show, for the July 4th card, I'm going to see what the pay-per-view sales look like so far this year. They usually track that stuff online.
Well, Holloway was the first ESPN one, and they only did like 150 or something.
Yeah, and that one, there's no reason they should have sold low on pay-per-views for that fight. Everybody was hyped for that fight, but everybody online was telling them, yeah, everybody expressed their frustration online that it's hard to get through navigating that, especially when you have early prelims on Fight Pass, which is a UFC app. Then you have the prelims on ESPN, and then you have the main card on ESPN Plus, which you have to purchase through.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't have an ESPN Plus membership, like monthly membership, like you have to either purchase a year right there, or you have to get into the monthly membership and then purchase the pay-per-view on top of it. I'm exhausted just listening to myself describe it.
Yeah.
Shut up, Ryan. All right, I'll shut up. Like it's exhausting, man. I freaking hate it. That's my rant. I'm done. Sorry. Back to the fight. But man, Valentina, man, see, I turn pages, turn to chapters real quick, right? Valentina's wrestling game looked on par last night too. She was able to because the biggest thing I saw from her in her ground game was her transitions in jiu-jitsu were fantastic. So she was able to get half guard, side mount, and then she ultimately got full mount, the crucifix hold. Where I thought she was going to finish. I think that was at the very end of the first round. She had her in the crucifix, which, if you don't know what that is, that's essentially where you're laying across the person's top half and you have their both their arms locked out, and you're just pounding on their face. I think she was able to throw like one or two elbows before the bell rang.
Yeah, I think because you had told me, like, oh, I'm pretty surprised she's grappling. I think she's trying to send Jessica and I a message that you don't have anywhere in this fight that offered me danger.
Everybody was like, if I's going to win this, she has to get this fight to the ground. Valentina's like, hold on, man. Like, I'm a fool.
If I heard somebody say that before, I've been like, I don't think you saw her fight Jessica Penne.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, still, I mean, you're talking about a girl or a woman that was a Muay Thai and kickboxing world champ. So you're not assuming that she's going to throw in, mix in high level jiu-jitsu like that. And then here she goes. It was almost like she said, oh yeah, I heard everybody and what they were saying about I having to take me down. Let me show you why that's a stupid mistake. That's what she did in the first round. Then in the second round, she was like, oh yeah, by the way, let me show you what I can still do. Head kick knockout.
So now I should everybody in my grappling, and it's time to send out the lights.
Man, like, This division is going to be in desperate need of contenders.
Yeah, this is not going to be a fun division to watch.
No,
Valentina's just going to clean every girl that steps in there.
I think so. It's going to be like watching when DJ ruled the flyweights. It might be. I mean, it might be. She's just how old is Valentina?
I think she's like 32, 33 or something.
Oh, so she's young. So she's still got quite a few years ahead of her too.
But the thing about it is, like, all the girls at 125. There was no elite 125ers out there in the world as it was. They all went to 135 or 115, whatever they could fit. And now all the ones that couldn't make it at those two weights are now at 125.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ioana was the only one to challenge her. She gave her a tough fight, but
you could tell.
I thought Valentina was in control.
Yeah. I think the only thing that just wasn't going for JJ in that one was just, you could tell she's just outsized. Like,
she just didn't have the power to fend her off.
Not to mention there is zero reason for that ever happening again. JJ is 0-4 against her all time between Muay Thai and MMA. So, like, there's zero reason for that fight to ever happen again. But yeah, man, that was an exciting fight. Rounds 1 and 2, and then a huge knockout. Man, that was a hell of a fight. Any lasting impressions from that? Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Cool. So let's get into the main fight, man. This was
a fun fight. This is what I thought it kind of would be.
I think if you sat back and you said realistically this and this is what's going to happen, it happened. Cejudo came in. He looked undersized for a little bit. Moraes actually looked like, I thought, in the first round, I was like, oh, Moraes is just going to shut this shit down. He's going to beat Cejudo. He looks way better all around, everywhere.
Credit to Cejudo's camp, his coaches, because they told him after that first round, dude, you're going to have to get dirty. You're going to have to get inside and make this a dog fight. That's a hard thing to hear.
For a champ. The champ's corner told him that. Like, we know you have an Olympic gold medal. And, yeah, you're taking on a challenger. I mean, technically, they're both challengers because it's a vacant title.
But you could also say Cejudo is somewhat already the 135 champion for beating TJ. Even though he's at 125, he still beat the 135 champion.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's somewhat the 135 champion already.
Yeah, and he had, Moraes looked great. let's talk about the first round
You know
first.
who he reminds me of? Edson Barboza.
Who, Moraes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Great
I know.
striker early on, but tired guy. He's so explosive.
Yeah, looks like an action figure too,
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, I mean, he clearly looked like the bigger, better striker. He stuffed a bunch of Cejudo's takedown attempts as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just watching the fight, like, dude, Cejudo's being way outclassed right now, man.
The range game, and it just wasn't happening.
No, and I'm trying to see if there. I forgot to pull it up, but I wanted to see if how many takedowns he stuffed in that first round.
3.
Oh, thank you.
It was 1 of 4. So.
Oh, good. You found that. Oh, there it is. I see it. There we go. Yeah, so he stuffed 3 of Cejudo's takedowns in the first round. That's huge.
Yeah, I don't think Cejudo was really setting him up. It's not like he was getting shots, so he was able to kind of look for him and be ready for it.
Regardless, that's impressive, though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're still talking about. I know it's exhausting to hear it over and over again, but an Olympic athlete or Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, and he was able to stuff him 3 times. His striking, I mean, God, he was just peppering it together. And then to your point, at the end of the first round, Cejudo's coaches are like, dude, you need to get inside on him. You need to start throwing that power. Yeah. And at first, like, you know, you can kind of hear it in the commentators, DC and Rogan were like, dude.
That's not the best idea. And you and I look at each other, what he's doing now ain't working.
Yeah.
I think he's got to make it a dogfight.
I think that was one of the few times we were like, Rogan, I don't know if we agree with you.
DC knows what he's talking about. I think he was a big one for that. Like, I don't know if that's what you want to play with Moraes. It's like, well, playing the range game is going to get him knocked out. So,
yeah.
Or not necessarily knocked out, but it's not going to get him a win.
No, he was getting peppered to death. I mean, he was losing, and Moraes hit him hard a few times in that first round too. But that's when Cejudo in that second round just shut him down, man. Like he came out, I think like midway through the second round, you started to see. No, I shouldn't say in the second round. That was actually the third round. He really shut him down. But you could tell the tide was turning by the end of the second round. And then in the third, that's when Moraes just completely stopped. Like he just didn't have the same pace anymore. And then Cejudo really started getting on the inside, being the much shorter fighter. And then that's when he finished him, like I think with like 11 seconds left. 11 seconds on the UFC site. Finished him with 11 seconds off, just with a flurry that put Moraes on the floor, and then ultimately finished him off before the ref pulled him off for the knockout or TKO in that one.
You just got tired.
Yeah, but Cejudo, talking about weaponizing pace, man, you talked about this a little bit earlier.
He made a dogfight. He made it nasty.
He did exactly what his coaches told him, and that's why you listen to your corner, man.
He's really just jumping into the pocket, throwing bombs.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that to his coach's credit, especially in hindsight, I thought that was actually a great move because you had to test Moraes somewhere, and that had to be Moraes was a champ in was it World Series of Fighting? Yeah, he was a champ in World Series of Fighting, so you would assume he would have that cardio to go 5 rounds, but. Especially World Series of Fighting has some great athletes over there. It's not like, I don't know.
One of the top ones outside of the UFC.
Yeah, especially too, like World Series of Fighting being over in Asia or based in Asia for the most part. They usually have like a ton of guys on the lower weight divisions that just are spectacular. So you would assume that he could go 5 rounds. But he just slowed down. Maybe that's to Cejudo's credit, though, too, man. Maybe he just hit him with too many hard shots, and it just slowed.
He cleaned him up in the clinch.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I completely forgot, man. Moraes, I think it was like midway through round 2. You're like, dude, like, what are you doing? He kept getting clinched on. Cejudo kept clinching him, being the shorter fighter, too.
The Brazilian was getting out tie clinched.
It was just crazy. Cejudo was just bringing knees right up the middle, right up the plate without any defense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some. I don't know if maybe Moraes was so tired that his like arms locked out or something. Like sometimes you just get so tired, your muscles stop working, they lock out, and you just can't do it. So maybe it was something along those lines. But yeah, it was so weird. Like his arms were essentially by the side, or he was gripping up here, and he was just taking knees to the face for a round and a half before he got finished. I think that was probably what ultimately led up to that series of events where he got TKO'd anyways. But man, to Cejudo's credit, he's the 5th or 6th fighter that's become double champ now?
Him, Amanda, Connor, DC, 4th, I think.
BJ Penn. I guess not at the same time, but he's won 2 different weight
I was
classes.
saying like the reigning 2 times.
Yeah, that's true. So 4th, you said?
Yeah. 5th to win 2 belts, 4th to do it consecutive.
To do it at the same time. So yeah. So that's damn impressive, especially with, like we talk about all the time, man, ton of talent in these lighter divisions.
Yeah,
and
he was just one of those guys you want to root for, but he's the king of cringe.
Yeah. So just going back a little bit,
So
we talked about
he's like a 4-weight world champion.
King of cringe. I know you kept calling him that. That kills me, man. I love that. The king of cringe. You try to like him, man. He's a U.S. Olympic gold medalist, and he's a 2-time. He's a great talent, but
he took out DJ and Dillashaw in back-to-back fights, man. Like I thought for sure if you told me that he was going to fight those 2 back-to-back, I was like, dude, that's going to be a rough career.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the end of Henry Cejudo.
Actually, if he defends his flyweight title first, he might be fighting Benavidez is coming up.
Next week.
Yeah, and I think that was his last loss. I think that was Henry Cejudo's last loss because he lost consecutively to DJ, which he got stopped in pretty quickly.
And then he lost in 4 decision to Benavidez when not much happened.
Yeah. So that would be a potentially interesting matchup. The last guy he lost to.
Hard to imagine Benavidez wins that rematch, but you never know.
Oh, yeah. Benavidez is that guy that was supposed to be king over the flyweight division when it was made, but DJ was like, oh, well, hi, guys, I'm here. He beat Benavidez twice in very decisive fashion. But, I think Cejudo, I don't know which one he goes to first. Actually, I would almost think, now that I'm saying it out loud, because we have the bantamweights fighting on here, Sterling's ready to go. Like, he didn't take any significant damage other than to his legs from the kicks from Munoz. Yeah, because Benavidez doesn't fight for a little while. So I know his matchup is coming up. Yeah. So, but, I mean, you don't know what kind of damage he's going to take.
You're just going to have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and you don't know the outcome of that one.
Henry's hurt, too, so you have to see what happens with him.
Yeah, I think bantamweight right now is the more interesting one that's kind of ready to go. What's your thoughts on that? Pretty much the same?
I mean, just going to have to wait and see. It's hard right now to say who's going to get the shot first. What that will be defended first.
Sorry, I just got to go back to our Twitch right now. Someone on here said, Colby Covington, make UFC great again. That's such a great comment. I love that. Kudos to you, Sam Grizzle. Colby Covington, man, he should be fighting soon again too. Him and Usman. Have they officially made that?
No, not yet.
God, what the hell are they waiting for?
I haven't heard anything about that.
I know, it was like a month ago. I know that they said that they were getting to the end of that it was supposed to be signed. I don't know.
Maybe they have it. They're just waiting for a date. They're trying to figure out when they want to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I guess it would probably be October. Unless they're going to double up in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
I think
that would actually
that'd be a fun warm-up. But I think with Colby Covington, all his fans are in America. I don't think he has many international fans. So you probably don't want him going overseas.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
To fight another American at least.
Yeah, that's a good point. He'll probably fight.
It'll probably be a Vegas fight.
Yeah, he's got to be fighting in Vegas. So that one's certainly a good one.
We do have a couple of fun main events coming up. The rest of the cards don't look interesting at all.
Yeah, and they're
yeah.
Well, before we move on to that, I'll just say lasting impressions from that great freaking card, top to bottom. Bantamweight showed you why they're fun to watch. Heavyweight showed you why they're fun to watch, even though they only really had one.
From
the women,
the ESPN prelims all the way to the main event, it was all fun. It was enjoyable fights.
Oh God, it was great from prelims up to main card, just like you said.
Like I said. Until the end of the night, it wasn't filled with a lot of finishes, but they were fun fights. You got your money's worth.
Oh, yeah, damn straight. So, great card. It was good. There wasn't really any big announcements coming out after this event. Like in the last one in Stockholm, we had 2 retirements from Jimmy Manuwa and Gus.
This is Diego Sanchez versus Clay Guida entering the Hall of Fame in the fight ring.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good point. Their lightweight match, I think that was back in 2006, I want to say.
No, I think it was 2009.
Oh, was it 2009?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that went into the UFC Hall of Fame for one of the top lightweight fights. I think it was the fight of the year. back in '09 when that went down. But those guys are certainly entertaining. Talk about king of cringe. I think that Diego Sanchez held that title.
No, I think Henry's already taken it.
Dude, you don't think him?
Nope,
you don't think him?
Nope. You're not gonna. I'm gonna be stubborn on this one.
You don't think Nightmare's characterized faces going into those stare downs where he's so cheesy and he's like that all the time?
Henry Cejudo said he's going to challenge for the featherweight title.
Yeah, did he really say that?
He said it in the octagon. He said he has plans to challenge for the featherweight title, and they asked Dana, and he said, "Let's just worry about 135 and 125 for right now."
Oh damn! I didn't even hear that. Maybe I was just like,
probably because he was ranting a bunch of dumb shit, and all right. he made a hit list, Ryan, and he put it out there to the world. Can you guess the 3 names he put out there? They're all bantamweights.
I'm hoping that it would be Sterling.
Nope.
Hold on. I want to go see the top. I want to go see the rankings list real quick. I can pull this up real quick at bantamweight. How about Rafael Suncow?
Nope.
Okay. And you said it wasn't Sterling.
Nope.
There's no reason for him to call out Munoz. Oh, Dominic Cruz.
Yep. Number 1.
Okay, he called out Dominic Cruz.
Injured.
And hasn't fought in forever.
Yep.
Please don't tell me he called out Cody Garbrandt.
Yep.
Oh God.
Number 2. Can you guess number 3?
Yes.
Let's just. He said he wants to make
Oh
money.
wait. Faber.
Yep.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Did he really? He's calling out everybody.
In order, he wanted Cruz, Faber, Garbrandt, and they asked Danny, "Is Cruz is hurt? Faber's old. Garbrandt just got knocked out
Twice in a row.
3 times.
3 times in a row. 3 times in a row. Get the hell out of here with
There was
that.
another one. He's like, that was because they asked him that right after featherweight. The featherweight fight.
I have a hit list. I mean, you know what, man?
I appreciate you trying to get your money, but you got to be somewhat real. Like, if you want to call it Dominic Cruz, I can see that. But Faber, he just announced he's coming out of retirement to fight a young contender. Garbrandt is basically, he has to reevaluate his career.
Dude, it blows my mind that Cody Garbrandt's still even in the top 10 right now, just because he has taken some brutal losses. I mean, 3 knockouts in a row, one of those being to Pedro Munoz. I mean, I just don't see why he's still in the top 10 right now. There's so many good guys. You have Petrie Yan, John Lineker. You have Corey Sandhagen, who's another young contender up there with Petrie. I don't know why Dominic Cruz is up here. He hasn't fought in forever as well, up in the top. Yeah, benefit of the doubt.
Lost to Cody, but yeah.
Yeah, you have so many guys in this freaking division. Thomas Almeida, John Dodson, Rob Font. I mean, I think we just watched this Cody Stamen as well, who just kind of moved up into that 11th spot. Get the hell out of here. But Cejudo, I mean, I don't know, man. I keep hearing these guys, and I guess at some point, like, you can't blame them for wanting to get their money.
Like I said, I can't blame you for wanting to get your money, but it's got to be somewhat realistic.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's got to be something people like, I can see that. Like, I could see Cruz if he got healthy again, and maybe even if he doesn't have to get a warm-up fight, he just goes straight to, because he's a name, and I consider him the best 135er that the division's ever seen. So
yeah. All right. So how about this? How about this scenario? Cejudo beats Sterling, because I can see him outlasting Sterling if he doesn't get knocked out. He beats Sterling and then he goes up to fight Max Holloway. I knew that you'd get a kick out of that one.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, he has so many guys that he needs to fight first. Anyways, yeah, going back to the events. Yeah, there was no big news just yet coming out of this event.
Yeah,
so
the July 4th card, they're probably holding all the news for it.
Yes, that'll be our next podcast, our series of podcasts. In hopefully,
it would literally be July 4th, or no, it would be the 5th. No, it would be the 4th because that'd be the weigh-in day. Wouldn't it? Is it the 5th or the 6th?
I'll tell you right
now. It's the 6th, so it actually would be the 5th. July 5th is when they'll announce big shit.
Yeah,
another big press conference.
Yeah, that we'll get into that July card. Why do I keep losing it? There we go. July 6th card here in just a minute. That'll be our next series of podcasts. So if anybody's watching us that hasn't tuned in before, thank you for starters. So subscribe to our channel. You can find our podcast if you want to listen to audio on iTunes and Spotify and Podbean. anywhere pretty much that you can find podcasts if you want to tune into our videos because you like just looking at our faces for some odd reason. Then YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, we're going to start doing the events like we did today where we announce when we're going to go live. So please subscribe to our channels and tune in. But yeah, we do the main pay-per-view events. We were trying to, at the beginning of the year when we started doing this coverage, we were trying to do every single event, but we didn't realize that the UFC was going to go nuts after they got onboarded with ESPN and just have an event literally every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
So
and we're supposed to have some interesting cards. They have like a couple of fights maybe, or just a main event. Like these next two cards are just main events, and other than that, there's nothing interesting.
Yeah, so
no contender fights really.
Yeah, real quick, go into UFC Fight Night with Moicano and the Korean Zombie. What fights are in there besides that one? Is there any other good matchups in that card?
I don't think there's any, like, this one's in Greenville, South Carolina, so they're not going to send the big boys.
Tell me how you really feel.
Names. I mean, it's honest. It's Greenville. So no shitting on Greenville, South Carolina, but it's not a big place to make money.
Yeah, and they have just decked out their cards.
So Lineker's fighting Rothmont. Andrea Lee's fighting Montana De La Rosa. And then after that, Brian Barberina's fighting Randy Brown.
Ooh, that would be fun.
And that's it, really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of no names, but sometimes those cards end up being great. So I'm not saying don't tune in. I'm just saying from a contender standpoint, there's not a lot of.
Yeah, and then to your point, on top of that, then at the end of the month we have, which I'll tune into this. With Francis Ngannou facing Junior Dos Santos.
Yeah, I wake up just when the main event and go back to bed.
Yeah, because then really the only other big fight on this one that I think has any meaning for like title contention or anything is you got Formiga versus Benavidez, which we just kind of alluded to for the flyweight, the next contender at flyweight. So that's pretty much the only other one. You have Maya fighting on this one at welterweight. Couple lightweight bouts on here, so that's pretty much it. And then we have the big 4th of July card, which the UFC always stacks that, man. They stack that every year.
That's their big card. That's one of the biggest cards of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I was gonna go back. Yeah, let's take a quick look at that one. So I'm hoping for that one we're gonna have our first ever guest on the podcast. We'll announce that when we do the event. But that one's always great, man. They do 4th of July big, and they always do the end of the year big.
Yeah, 4th of July, November now because that's when they was doing Madison Square Garden, and then New Year's.
Yeah.
And March. March is always a big one.
Yeah, for some reason, right in the beginning of the year.
First quarter.
Yeah.
First quarter of the year. I think they like to have one every quarter.
Yeah, they like to have a big one. Certainly. Yeah, March has always been quietly like stacked.
Yeah.
This year, it was insane. But yeah, just to give you like a little taste of the 4th of July card, man, this card is stacked. So you have Jones facing Santos at light heavyweight for the strap, obviously.
The least interesting fight on the main card, I think.
Which is crazy. Yeah, I know you got John Jones, and you're like, just because
I should say the second because the third fight on the card to me is the least interesting in the main event or the main card.
You think the third fight, or hold on, I'll get to it here in a minute.
From what I was just looking at the UFC, that's the third fight.
So then we have Nunez and Holm, which that one should be
awesome.
That should be a barn burner. That one should be fantastic. High level striking right there.
No, sorry, it's the second fight.
Jan versus Luke Rockhold.
I think it's the least interesting just because.
I'm interested to see Rockhold get knocked out.
But I'm just saying. All right, you got 40 Masvidal fighting Ben Askren. That's the most interesting fight. Again, this is just
the people's fight on that one, man.
This is the people's fight. This is just like how
Holloway
and Ferguson was to last night's card. That's what this is to this one.
Yeah, I think so, man. Masvidal versus.
That'll be a fun way to take off the pay-per-view. Sean O'Malley.
Oh, we got Sean O'Malley coming back against Marlon Vera.
Edmund Shabazian
at middleweight. Doesn't ring a
9-0.
Doesn't ring a bell. Maybe did he come in the contender series?
88% knockout series.
Damn. Oh, we got
he has 7.6 takedowns per 15 minutes. I don't know how many fights he has.
Didn't you claim this to be the douchebag fight of the night, Diego Sanchez versus Michael Chiesa?
I could give a fuck who wins that fight.
Yeah, seriously. I'm not a big fan of Michael Chiesa either. But yeah, I mean, anyways,
Actually, I root for
regardless,
Diego. I don't like Mike Diaz.
damn, that much, huh? Cheering, man. Diego seriously has a chance to win that one. That's a crazy thing. But anyways, yeah. So just to get back to the point, that'll be our next card that we cover, and that's going to be 239. That's going to happen July 6th in Las Vegas. So you'll hear from us do our pre-show and post-show as well after that. But yeah, otherwise, I think that's pretty much it for us. Anything else that you want to add in? Add
Oh,
in?
shit, I didn't know they had a pay per view at the end
Yes,
of
there
July.
is. Is there really?
Holloway and Edgar are headlining that one. I thought that was later in the year.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, they haven't had a two pay-per-view month.
Actually, I think they've been doing that in July. I think they've done that for a little bit now.
Well, I mean, technically, the Jones and Santos one is early enough.
Chris Cyborg fighting Felicia Spencer on that night.
Damn, nice. Yeah, did you get? Oh, actually, there you go. That's good news. Did you hear Amanda Nunez said that she wants that Cyborg rematch almost right away after she fights Holm, which I thought was pretty good. That's
paid, son.
yeah, that's a complete 180 from the oh yeah, she has to wait a few years before she gets a rematch. I don't know what her mind. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, true. All right, well, everyone, thank you again for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Again, subscribe to our channels, The Casuals MMA. You can pretty much find us on any social platform. I won't run through it again because it's just tedious, and you're just like, shut up, I get the point. But thank you again for tuning in, and other than that, peace.